Dana White is choosing the Mexican market over real matchmaking and their fans. So MOVSAR Evloev, we got reported last night, Burt MMA reported it from the ESPN MMA interview. Apparently, his manager said that he needed another win before he gets a title shot. That is what the UFC has told MOVSAR Evloev. Even though Volk has called him out, Evloev is the only contender who is deserving of a title shot right now at featherweight. And because he is not deserving of a title shot, he isn't getting a title shot. So what's going to happen at 145? People are saying, oh, wow, Lerone Murphy's getting a title shot. Oh, wow, Gene Silva's getting a title shot. No. It's going to be fucking Yair Rodriguez in a rematch because they have already scheduled UFC Mexico in September 13th as UFC 320, Noche UFC. They're wasting a pay-per-view on Mexico. Now, clearly you can see I have a lot of reservations about this. Not that I have anything against Mexico. I love that they're going to different places again and that they're going back to these countries and figuring it out and giving these fighters their market. I love that. Do it for the other markets. We've gone to Mexico once this year. And I get you want to, and they went to it in the middle of March, or the late March, for no apparent reason. It wasn't Cinco de Mayo. It wasn't fucking Mexican Independence Day. It wasn't anything related to that. It was just simply because they wanted to. And because it worked out for timing, so that they could get people on that card and get them on the Guadalajara card. So I'm not upset about that. What I'm upset about is that this, on Noche UFC, on Mexican Independence Day, is a pay-per-view. We don't have a single Mexican champion anymore in the UFC, and no one is really close. Brandon Moreno is the closest. But I guess because we just have to have a pay-per-view in Mexico, we have to get this fight. Here's Murphy in the Apex, kid. Good luck. That's the top comment, and it's true. It's true for, Gene Silva and for, MOVSAR. Not true for this, alright? Because Volk is actually going to have to fight Yair Rodriguez in Mexico as the September headliner because the UFC has fucked themselves and Dana White is refusing to actually give the fans what they want, going to Spain. Headlining a Spain card with Ilia Topuria. Do you know what that would mean to us? Do you know what that would mean for him as a star? He is a massive star in Spain. Could you imagine what that would look like? Could you imagine what a South Africa stadium, even an arena, would look like with Dricus du Plessis headlining the card? Just imagine the scenes. The UFC never goes and gets home turf. And they only do it when it's convenient for them, when they're trying to build up a market. They did it the Zhang Wei Li way, and they did it the correct way with her, headlining her title fight chance on a fight night, partially because it's a women's fight, but anyway, this should not be happening. It should be a fight night main event, Lopez versus Yair. This is the fight that makes all the sense, so much beef, works in terms of contendership and in rankings. And then you just do Volk versus MOVSAR. Do Lerone Murphy versus Gene Silva. And then you've got the featherweight division figured out. Arnold Allen versus Aljamain Sterling. But no. We have to go to Mexico for a pay-per-view because you just desperately need to build your Mexican market, Dana. And because there's just so many amazing Mexican fighters, right? That you just have to do a pay-per-view there. You can't do a fight night with Diego Lopez, Yair Rodriguez as the main event, and then Brandon Moreno versus somebody in the flyweight division for a co-main event. You just can't do that, can you? Alexa Grasso barely took any damage. You can't throw her back in there and get her in on a feature fight. You can't do that. Instead, you have to make a pay-per-view, and the pay-per-view is going to suck balls, just like the Sphere did last time, and you're going to have Ronaldo Rodriguez versus Ode Osborne 2, the rematch, on the fucking main card of a pay-per-view, again, because you do not have enough Mexican stars to build a pay-per-view? And there's no champion. So Volk's going to have to be forced to fight on enemy territory in a rematch against a guy who was on a 2-fight losing streak before he got a win over Patricio fucking Pitbull at 37 years old in a boring-ass decision. Volk is going to have to fight that guy because he's so deserving of the title shot. In Mexico, on enemy territory in September, in a rematch after he already had beaten Yair very convincingly. It was 1-1 going into the third. He fucking slept him in the third with a brutal left hook, wobbled him, took him down, ground and pound, classic Volk-style domination. The same thing is going to happen here. They are trying... This is what politics is doing to the UFC. They're choosing politics over the fans now. Volk versus MOVSAR is the fight we all want and the fight that makes sense. And Volk wins that fight. But now, because the UFC is just so desperate into building their Mexico market that they're forcing a title shot to Yair Rodriguez, who is absolutely undeserving. They're costing us of a Yair Rodriguez versus Diego Lopez fight. Now Diego's going to have to fight a Lerone Murphy or an Arnold Allen or an Aljamain Sterling. And we're not going to get the good fight of Diego versus Yair. Yair is getting given a title shot purely because they have a Mexico pay-per-view, because Dana White's bald fuck head ass is just refusing to go to other countries, but he'll go to Mexico twice a year. Yeah. MOVSAR, best we can do for you is fucking Pico and the Apex, buddy. You know, I want title shot. I deserve title shot. 8 wins, no finishes, all boring, but I deserve title shot. He does. He does deserve the title shot. Undefeated. He's the guy we all want to see get the title shot. And it's a good matchup. Volk and Evloev is an interesting matchup. And Volk wins that fight. And I bet it would be fun. But no, we have to get this fight at UFC 320 because the UFC has fucked themselves by scheduling a pay-per-view in Mexico because they just have no awareness into what a home crowd could actually mean for a champion. A defending champion. You guys didn't do this when Alexa Grasso was champion. You stuck her in Vegas on a fight night main event. A title fight. But you're going to make this undeserved title fight of Volk versus Yair so that it qualifies for a pay-per-view. The dumbest shit. So MOVSAR is getting absolutely screwed by the UFC. And this is what we have to sit through now. Now the Mexico card is going to be dog shit. And guess what this means for JDM? Get what this means for him. We're not going to see him in Perth. Apparently the UFC wants to do it in the US. I don't believe it. I think they're going to do Islam versus JDM in fucking Abu Dhabi. Because he just deserves home turf, doesn't he? It's such favoritism, it's bullshit, and we're just seeing the UFC absolutely fucking the fans because they just refuse to actually give us what we want of a Spain-South Africa pay-per-view or something of that sort. The PFL is going to fucking South Africa, headlining Johnny Eblen, best buddies with Sean fucking Strickland. They don't even have a South African high-level fighter in their promotion. And they're going to South Africa purely because they want to one-up the UFC, because the UFC is too fucking stupid to actually go to South Africa, and Dana White needs to be fired. His job needs to be gone. It's ridiculous. It's over. I can't handle this shit anymore. This is dumb. They are literally costing us the fights that we want to see because of the markets that they want to build. Because of the politics, because of the favoritism, because of the bias they have towards Mexico right now. It's ridiculous. That's all I have. This was a video essentially just a rant, but I'm breaking news and this is worth talking about because it's true and it's bullshit, and this is not what we deserve as fans. We deserve the best cards and the best fights. And instead of getting a stacked Perth card with JDM and Islam and Volk Evloev, we're going to get this, and we're going to get fucking Volk versus Yair 2 in Mexico. Then we're going to get, in August, we're going to get Chicago, which is going to be Dricus Hamzat, thank God. Then 321 will be in Utah, main event, Pereira Ankalaev 2. And then Abu Dhabi will be JDM versus Islam. Islam gets home turf advantage. Just wild, man. Just crazy. Volk doesn't deserve this either. He'll gladly fight Yair, and he beats Yair. But whatever. Yeah, Yair deserves a title shot, man. It's such favoritism. It's ridiculous. And yeah, actually, I want to read my comment, if you hadn't already, on this MOVSAR. They're desperately building this Mexico market just because they scheduled a pay-per-view there. Now means they just have to do Volk versus Yair 2 in Mexico. No one wants to see a Mexico pay-per-view if you have no Mexican champions. Do a fight night for Noche. But no, we have to go to Mexico instead of Spain or South Africa or Czech Republic for Yuri or Russia or fucking wherever. We have to go to Canada and headline with Bilal and JDM. We have to go to Mexico and headline with Volk and Yair and give Yair a title shot for no apparent reason just because he's Mexican. Schedule your events based off the promotion, based off your roster, based off the matchmaking. Then you do the matchmaking, schedule the events. Don't schedule the events, then do the matchmaking. That's not how this works. That's how you ruin your promotion. Because now it's just fucking McDonald's, man. Ariel Helwani says it, and I don't like Ariel Helwani, but he goes out there and he says it, and it's true, man. It's becoming McDonald's. It's becoming repetitive, and we're getting the same cards in the same markets every fucking year, and we're not going to any new markets for a pay-per-view, and then the new markets that we're going to for fight nights are all in the fucking Middle East because of the oil money. But we can't go to Czech Republic. We just refused. We can't possibly go to Poland, can we? We just can't possibly go to Spain. And it's ESPN's fault, too, because they have the schedule rights with them, and they're refused. They have a certain amount of pay-per-views every year that they can do in a different time area. And it's basically all reserved to Abu Dhabi. That's why London had to be at fucking 4 a.m. in London time. That's why the card had to be that time. Had to be 10 p.m. Eastern and 7 p.m. on the West Coast. And then some reporters like, do you think that the fact that it was 6 a.m. had anything to do with Leon looking like shit? And Dana's like, oh, well, who gives a fuck? It's fucking 7, it's 10 o'clock on the fucking West, in L.A. What are we doing? What are we doing? Ugh. It's sad, man. We need to go to new markets, and we need to explore exciting things, and I'm just begging that if the UFC signs a deal with Netflix, they have the freedom to do that. I just worry that they'll have the freedom to do it, and then they just won't, and they'll still go to all these places because Dana White is a stubborn piece of shit who just refuses to actually give the fans what they want. So yeah, that's all I have to say. I'm done. I have other shit to do. That's it. Bye from the bucket hat. See ya.